Okay. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? I hope you guys having a great day. 1 second here. Okay. 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 Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me good right now? Did I watch that video? Did you send me a link? I think you sent me a picture, but I'll take a look at it a little bit later. Hello, Mizur, Sensitivity, Kyle, JB. Hey guys, how are you? Okay. Hello, it's me, Blade of Stars. Good to see you. Hello, hey man. Yeah, maybe I could do Infamous one day. I did actually like Second Son, despite a lot of people not liking it. I actually did kind of like it. Oh, here, okay. Why haven't you ever played Black Ops 2? I have played Black Ops 2, I just didn't do a playthrough of it. When is Bully playthrough coming out? It's coming out soon. Early next week it'll be up. It's playthrough, starting it up. I watched Siphon Filter 2, great job, bro. Thank you, Joey. Is it the first time that you've seen it before? Will you play the True Crime games one day? Yeah. And I technically already played one. I played Sleeping Dogs, which was meant to originally be True Crime Hong Kong. I made a video about it, Missouri, but it's just a stupid situation. I can't believe that that somebody would do something like that. Go to Thieves Landing. Here we go. The most evil character in The Sopranos? Maybe Ralph? Ralph is definitely one of the worst ones on there. Chris is pretty bad too, but I think Ralph is worse than him. Thank you, Larissa. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving as well. Did Tony Soprano deserve it at the end of The Sopranos? Kind of, he did. Yeah. Oh. Ah. Great.
You're gonna be a mess.
Okay. And hi, Red Dead Redemption Outlaw. How are you, man? Thank you, Dutch Vanderlyn. I would say yes, heroin is worse than cocaine. Not many people know that Vito missed Jackie Jr. During the hit. He actually died from drowning in 3 inches of snow. You know, I think the funniest joke in the Sopranos community, I would say, it probably has to be the varsity athlete jokes. Those are probably the best ones.
Great.
Okay. Yes, a Pegorino video is going to drop sometime next week. I don't know when. This weekend, you guys will see the video of just me pissing off the scammer, so you guys will get to see that. What happened to Ned Luke was like what happened to Michael's family and Meltdown. That was just ridiculous. Have I seen the Dublin riots? Thank you for the super chat, Mario. I heard that there was something going on in Ireland, some kind of fight, some angry mob of people, but I don't know exactly what that was about. But hopefully the idiot who did that to Ned Luke gets arrested. Hello, bro. Imagine the oh crap guy when Phil gets whacked over Hekarov's death in Modern Warfare 3, Shepard's death in Modern Warfare 2, and Zakhaev's death in Call of Duty 4. Oh, that guy? I remember that it was that was just, that came out of nowhere. It was like a bit bizarre. Like, when Phil got run over, when his head got run over by the car, and then the guy's like, oh crap.
Did you think you'd die today? No, not again.
I hope you feel better, Red Redemption Outlaw. Where is Venezuela in South America? It borders Colombia to its left, and to its right is, Guyana, I believe. No, he hasn't, Mr. PUBG, but I'm gonna do a video still reviewing the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. Who would you like to see the protagonist for Red Dead 3, Jack? Can you make a lore video regarding Phil from The Sopranos, figuring how many years Phil did in the can? Oh, that's the biggest mystery of all. Oh, I didn't know about that, Mario. The thing about that is, if you watch the video, when Ned Luke gets swatted, he gets a phone call from somebody, probably a family member, that the police are at the door. And, what happened is the police didn't bust down the door, but they still responded. The reason the police probably did not bust down the door is because they probably knew who lived there. They knew that Ned Luke lived at that address, and it's probably because Ned Luke probably contacted the police beforehand, and he told them that, listen, you know, I do live streams, and sometimes idiots might do something like this. That, you know, they might call up the police, and just to be aware. The police still have to go to his house just to check up on it when they get a call, but they might have been aware of who lived there. Let me see, Thank you, George, for that super chat. You're gonna love Bully, it's in my top 3. I gotta give it a try.
You goddamn.
Thank you for reviving my horse. Do you think Scotland should be allowed independence? Thank you for the super chat, Ethan Wivell. It's not up for me to say. You know, my opinion would be, irrelevant. It is up to people in Scotland. That's what it's up to. It's not up to me. So, don't want to answer that question personally. But thank you for the super chat. Is Dutch a sociopath or a psychopath? Dutch is not a psychopath because he does have some empathy. Psychopaths have no empathy, so you can rule out that he's a psychopath right away. He might be a sociopath because it seems like for him, he does not care about anyone outside of his gang. Thank you, Twisted Trucker and Ethan, for those super chats. And let me ask you guys something. I want to know how you guys feel about this, because I have no idea what your opinion might be on this. But we know that GTA 6 is going to be in Vice City. No speculation garbage, we just know it's going to be in Vice City because of the hacked videos. But we don't know what the map is going to be like. Let me ask you guys. Would you guys rather... And just think about this before you answer this. Would you rather the new Vice City map in GTA 6, would you rather it be like one giant city map, like a really, really big city map like GTA 4, where the whole entire map is city? Or would you like to see it where it's kind of like more San Andreas or GTA 5, where you have like a big Vice City, but you still have like the Florida countryside? So would you rather see like it with, you know, big countryside too, or just like one big city together? City map like GTA 4? I would prefer GTA 4. GTA 5 map. Okay. Me personally, I want to see like a Florida countryside. That's what I want to see. I love the bits I saw of that scammer bust, but I don't want to spoil for anyone. His price is how you use fictional characters and scammers can't tell. Yeah, so I played the video of just me making the scammer rage for a few of my channel members, but they found it really funny. When you guys see that video, when you guys see that video, it's gonna be up this weekend. I made a scammer rage, and it's gonna be. I don't want to spoil how I made him rage. But, the only thing I'm gonna say about that is that I trolled him so badly, like, so badly, that he could not figure out that I trolled him. That's how badly I trolled him. And even, he got really angry during the phone call, and then even after the phone call, he sent me a bunch of text messages still trying to scam me. He didn't even realize I trolled him the entire time. So that's how good I did that. Hey bro, hope you've been okay. Will you do a guide on rental properties when you're ready? Maybe one day I'll do a video on something like that. I'm still new to it, so I only have one rental property. I do know a little bit about it, but I would be willing to, would be willing maybe to do a video on that one day. Dutch is an egoistical, sociopath. Oh, Hey, Professional, why haven't you played Black Ops 2 on the channel? I'm playing through it right now. Sure, the choices are kind of hard. What I want to do is I want to do an entire series on those games one day. Because I want to start playing World at War first. Because a lot of people don't know this, World at War takes place in the same universe as Black Ops. So World at War is in the exact same universe as Black Ops. And not only that, but World at War, you know, the World War II game that came out in 2008 is in the exact same universe as Modern Warfare 1 through 3, the new Modern Warfare reboot series, and it's in the exact same universe as Black Ops Cold War. So it's in that exact same universe. They're all in the exact same one. So Reznov and Dmitry technically existed in the Modern Warfare universe. So that's so all of them are in the same universe. So what I want to do one day is I did play Black Ops 1 on the channel, but I played it a few years ago. I didn't do any cosplay playthroughs, but I would be willing to do that again. And I want to do like World at War first, and then Black Ops 1, and then we could do Black Ops 2. That's what we could do. But the only thing I'm just a bit scared to play World at War. I'm just a little bit scared to play it because of just I'm just scared of getting a strike again. That's just what I'm scared of personally. I got a strike from YouTube last time I played World at War. They striked my channel for community guidelines violations, and they said that I violated the harmful and dangerous brutality policy, whatever it was. I don't even know how I violated anything. Well, he ain't my boy, but the brother is heavy. Wait, what's that from, Mr. Waifu? Thank you for the super chat. Why you redeem gift card? Why you redeem? Yeah. Basically, I don't want to spoil it, what I did to the scammer to make him rage. Well, let's just say that I scammed the scammer. That's, when you guys see the video, you'll understand and why he got so angry. But I basically had him on the phone for 90 minutes, so for 90 minutes I talked to him on the phone. And I recorded the entire phone call. And I kept up an act for... Yeah, when you guys see it, you guys will, you guys are gonna laugh a lot. Oh, thank you, Eddie, for the super chat. Maybe I could just play Black Ops 1 and 2, but, have I been back to the retail shop after I left? Oh, the place that I used to work at? What I did was I went back to that retail place a full year later, one time, because there was one of my friends that was, working on shift that day, and and I decided to bring him pizza. But that was about it. I haven't been there in years. My friend that worked there, that I brought him pizza, he actually ended up quitting just a few months after that. And I asked him what happened, and he told me that one of his coworkers was pissing him off. And the coworker that was pissing him off, he gets really annoying. It wasn't the narcissist that I told you guys about. It was another one of my coworkers. He gets really annoying at times. And he was annoying the hell out of my friend, coworker. And what happened was there was a customer that was just complaining to him. And the customer was just complaining that some item wasn't in stock. And was just saying, why don't you have this in stock? You know, I come to the store, it's not here, blah, blah, blah. Just going off for something that's not his fault at all. And he basically said, he looked at the customer and he said, you know what? I'm done. And just walked out. So, and I asked him, you know, what was the customer's reaction? He said the customer was baffled by that, but that's it. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to take that crap. I wouldn't ask for a character reference. Well, that's the thing is, though, is, I worked at that place for 6 years. And when I quit, I wanted to walk out. I did. But the thing about that, the reason, the two things that stopped me from walking off the job was that my coworkers that I worked with, some of my coworkers I didn't like, but some of my other coworkers I did like, and I respected. And I knew that if I just walked off shift, that they would just have a harder time that day, and they would also need to find somebody for the next 2 weeks, and there would just be way too much work on them, and I didn't want to screw them over like that. And the second reason is because if I never needed to use that job as a reference, I could just say that I worked there for 6 years and I was just unhappy. And if they asked me why I quit, I would be very straightforward and honest with them. I wouldn't BS it. I would just basically say that I didn't feel like I was treated fairly, and I was just not given the proper raise that I wanted.
This one's got your name on it.
Do you think Activision should make a Black Ops 1 remaster? Yes.
You're as good as dead. I'm getting killed here. Untie me this goddamn instant. I'm gonna make you bleed.
What the? Great.
This won't end well for you.
Hey Pro, love the channel. Keep up the great work. I've been a fan for some years now. You ever thought of a true crime near playthrough? I think you'd like the lore in the games. Yes, I do want to do those. I do want to do that game one day. Thank you, LeBron James. Thanks, man. I do want to do it one day. One day, I definitely do want to do the true crime games. People have requested it heavily on my channel. Would you say Modern Warfare 3 got the same treatment as Sonic 06, terrible writing, glitchy game, all because it was rushed to make fans happy? Yeah, I would say so. And do you know one thing that's pissing me off about Modern Warfare 3? I don't know if I'm in the minority on this, but one thing that I don't like about Modern Warfare 3 is I don't like how they abandoned DMZ. Like, DMZ has been abandoned, and personally that really pisses me off. Like, you can still play it, you know, it's not like it's discontinued. But it pisses me off because I actually did really enjoy DMZ. I really like DMZ, and I had a lot of fun with DMZ. And the fact that they don't even continue it, like the new map, they don't even have Urzikstan. Like, a new Urzikstan map would have been perfect for DMZ. But they didn't do DMZ anymore. Like, I really like DMZ in Modern Warfare 2, and it pissed me off that they abandoned it in favor of the zombies.
You'll get yours, you scum. Damn, that's them.
Do you know what my worst fear about Jason and Lucia is? My worst fear is that they're a couple. That's my worst fear about it, because I don't want them to be a couple. I don't. I want them to be independent of each other. I want them to obviously work together and stuff like that, like Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. But I want them to have their own stories, their own antagonists, you know, their own issues that they deal with. Because, think about it this way. If Jason and Lucia are a couple, I guarantee you there's going to be some stupid romance drama in that. There definitely will be if they're a couple. There's going to be some arguing, and, like, can you imagine how cringe you would get if you have, like, some stupid romance drama in the middle of this crime storyline? I think, so that's why I don't want to see them be a couple, because the thing about this is, imagine all the drama between Michael and Trevor, like, all the constant arguing. You know, it got a little too much at times, but it was still kind of funny, I would say. But then, compare it to, you know, Jason and Lucia. Imagine if they were like a couple and they were constantly arguing about some romance drama crap. That would just be so cringe, and it would be really annoying. Imagine if they were like Katie, Jane, and Sasanta. Well, I would not play the game if they were like that.
Oh, hell.
You think there will be a Michael DLC? Maybe. Oh, Mr. Fire, you are a YouTuber. Here, I see. 1 second. Let me just look here. Just check out your channel here. Damn, I hate that I can't click on the channels anymore from the chat. I hate that. That's one of the dumbest things that YouTube has done.
I won't be tied up like some slave.
Mr. Fire. Okay, I found you now. Oh, okay, you do GTA videos too. Okay, I see you. I've never heard of you, but congratulations on 100,000 subscribers. Okay, let's... Oh, whoa. Yeah, this is why I don't like driving wagons sometimes.
No, you'll be sorry. God damn it.
A bounty target has been killed? Wait, what? A bounty target has been lost? What? How? The thing just flipped, But do you know what game had the stupidest romance drama that I think I've ever seen before? It was a game. There was a game that I played on my channel. I did a playthrough of it. It was a playthrough I did on my channel, and that game had the worst romance, you know, drama storyline that I think I've ever seen in the video game. Does anybody know what game this was that I played? The main characters were in a romance, and it was like really bad. My last super was Ganguru from Dead Rising 1. Oh! Oh, that song. Oh, okay. That's actually one of my favorite songs, Mr. Waifu. Oh, why'd you bring that up? Because of Dead Rising? Yes, Jimmy got it. Jimmy has it right there. It's House of Ashes. House of Ashes is had the worst romance drama that I've ever seen. Basically, for people that don't know what the story in House of Ashes is, House of Ashes is a horror game. It's a Dark Pictures game. Basically, the game takes place during the 2003 invasion of Iraq. I did a playthrough of it. Look, it did a few years ago at House of Ashes. I dressed up for the playthrough too. But basically, what happens is most of the characters there's two of the characters in the game are special forces. One of the characters is a CIA agent. Another character, she's like a translator, and then the other character is like an Iraqi soldier. And what happens is basically there's like a battle between the US and the Iraqi soldiers, and the ground collapses, and they get stuck in like these ancient ruins that are like thousands of years ago from like ancient Sumer, and there are these monsters that are in the ruins that are like after them, like deep underground, and like the Iraqi and the American soldiers have to put their differences aside to work together to survive. And it's actually kind of a good story, but the romance drama almost ruined it. Basically, what happened was the CIA agent, he had a relationship with the translator, and they broke up before the main game starts. And then the translator, she's in a relationship with one of the special forces soldiers, and it's basically a life or death situation where those monsters, they turns out they're aliens. The monsters that are deep underground are actually aliens, and so it's a life or death situation, and all the characters are trying to survive. And what ends up happening is those three idiots are basically arguing about their relationship drama when they're trying to survive. That's the thing about it. They're literally in the middle of arguing about their relationship drama crap when it's a life or death situation. And that's what I didn't like about House of Ashes, that romance drama. I thought that was kind of stupid. Eric and Rachel, yes. And then the other guy was Nick, I think, right? It was Nick? And then what was the other two guys? It was Jason and then the Iraqi soldier. I'm trying to remember what his name was. He played it like 2 years ago. But Jason and the Iraqi soldier, you could tell they were getting pissed off because they just wanted to try to get out of there alive, and they were just kept arguing about this relationship drama. Salim, yes, that was him. Salim was the best character in that game, definitely. He was the best character. But that was that romance drama was kind of stupid. Hey, I used to upload videos myself with 33 subscribers, but after I entered literal hell of a chat, I just lost the will. Just being honest here. What I would say, Blade of Stars, is don't let people get to you. Do what you want to do. And if somebody is being a scumbag to you, it's your chat. You can ban them if they're being a scumbag to you. So, you know, don't let people get to you. I used to have that happen where people would harass me in the, in my stream chats, but it doesn't really happen anymore that often. It used to be really bad, like around 2020 when the harassment was like really bad, but it stopped for the most part. But, Mr. Waifu, why'd you bring up, Gone Guru? Did you, was it because I mentioned Dead Rising in my, Undead Nightmare playthrough? Will I ever do a series on the Red Dead Redemption 2 story again? Yes, maybe I'll do it one day. Thank you, Ashton, for the super chat. I bought Dead Rising 1, Dead Rising 2, and Dead Rising 2 off the record today. Oh, they're on sale? No, it was an online chat room I didn't own. It was called Chatsy. Oh. Well, don't let those people get to you, though. Give me rent. It's a free country, not a rent-free country, Mr. Ditkovich. Oh man. You know, they should make Mr. Ditkovich the antagonist in the next Spider-Man movie. Oh, okay, Mr. Wave. It's kind of crazy, because I actually listened to that song, Gone Guru, the other day. I remember that song. It plays when the convicts attack you. I see your comment. Let me look, Phoenix. That line's from Battlefield 3. Wait, which line, specifically? Oh, Mr. Fire asked me if I think there'll be a Michael DLC. I forgot to answer that one, I apologize. It's possible. This DLC in December might be the last GTA Online DLC, we don't know. Ben from The Walking Dead. Which character is Ben again in The Walking Dead? Because it's been so long since I've seen that one. That guy's brother, the guy's brother who died, I think. Oh, are you talking about the video game Ben? That one's different. The one, yes, he was the college kid. That Ben.
Got some kind of rock in your boot?
Give me rent. What are your thoughts about, the MCU? Do you watch it? No, not really. Not into superhero movies, zombie fanatic. Does anyone know what DMZ is? DMZ is a mode for Modern Warfare 2. It's basically it's open world. It's the Warzone map where you like complete missions, you gather supplies, and like you extract. That's what I liked about DMZ. I used to watch Monday Night Raw. Like, I remember I used to watch that a lot when I would, when I was a kid. I never really watched the SmackDown, but I did watch Monday Night Raw. That I did watch. And, yeah, just to me, Monday Night Raw used to be much better many years ago. I think my all-time favorite Monday Night Raw moment, it probably has to be when Triple H went to Randy Orton's house. I remember that. I think that was my favorite Raw moment of all time. That was the one where he went to Triple H went to Randy Orton's house, yeah. So when Triple H went to Randy Orton's house, I think that was the best one. Do I think Ben is a coward? What, in The Walking Dead? I think that he's just scared. You know, he's a college kid. I think he meant well. I think he just didn't use his head. That's all.
These jugs will arrive quickly and in one piece. Yes?
Patrick, what would you prefer that I do for my job? They haven't scheduled me despite promising me hours every week in my interview. Quit or file for unemployment? Honestly, don't do either of those. What I would do if I was you is just look for another job. Like, keep working there so you can still, you know, keep making some money. But put in applications to other places, like, start finding, like, another place in the meantime. That's what I would do. You could mention it to your boss that, like, hey, you promised me hours. But, if he promised you it, and he's, you know, not honoring that, then honestly, I would find, like, I would try to find another place to work at. I mean, it's up to you. I don't want to give you the wrong advice, but that's just what I would do if I was you. Just put in some applications to some other places, and just when you find another job at that when you find another job, just put your 2 weeks in. And if your manager asks you, you know, why are you quitting? You know, when you when you find the other job, if you do decide to take my advice, when you find another job, you know, put your 2 weeks in, and then when your manager says, why are you putting your 2 weeks in? You say, well, you know, you promised me all these hours, and you didn't deliver it. You didn't give it to me. And so I had to find another job. And if he says to you at that point, no, I'll give you the hours, still leave. Don't stay there. That's personally, you know, I hope that helps, but that's just what I would personally do. We can avert war between the two, our nations. Just the two of us. No politicians, no money changing hands. Just two soldiers speaking the truth. Demon from Battlefield 3. That I remember, yes. Did you think that the sergeant in Battlefield 3, the one that Blackburn shot, isn't that his, wasn't he kind of an a-hole, if I remember correctly? Didn't he get the squad mates killed when that Russian fighter jet bombed them? I think he got them killed. Am I remembering that correctly? Because I remember, it's been like over a decade since I played the Battlefield 3 story, but I remember somebody got killed. It was like a plane, and then the other squad mates got pissed at him for that. Was that his fault? Okay. Oh, whoa. Oh. I used to watch only you sometimes, but through the months I've watched you more and more to the point where I don't want to miss a live stream. I love your viewpoints and the way of doing things. Thank you, Blade of Stars. Was Edgar Ross right when he said John got himself killed by the life he lived? No, because Edgar Ross was the one who killed him. Edgar Ross had the choice to let him go, but he didn't. I don't know about the whole Gulf War thing. I guess we'll see. Were you at some point in customer service? Well, when I worked in retail, technically it was customer service. There's something over there. A Cold War game that on smaller conflicts like the Suzy Crisis, Malayan Emergency, Decolonization Wars, 100-Hour Football War, Falklands, etc. They could definitely do something like that. I mean, they could make Cold War 2. You could have Cold War 2, and Cold War 2 could stretch into a few different things. Thank you, General's Alert. How much did you get paid in retail? Oh. It was pretty bad. It was like $8.60 an hour. It was not good. And then eventually I worked my way up to I think like $12 or $13 an hour, but it just wasn't worth it.
C'est parti. This one will punch hard.
Yes, I do actually remember that, Mario, when that happened. You watch Family Guy or American Dad? I never really watched American Dad. I do know the characters in American Dad. It's Stan, Roger, trying to remember a few of the other characters. But Family Guy I used to watch a lot. But Family Guy, like, the first 10 seasons of Family Guy, I saw, like, every episode. Like, when Family Guy first... I remember when Family Guy was, like, first new in the 90s. I watched it, like, back when it was old in the 90s, I did watch all of the episodes, pretty much. Every single one. And Family Guy was really funny back in the day. It was actually pretty good. Because, do you know why Family Guy was good back in the day? Because it had random humor. It just came out of nowhere. It was random humor. And it was, there wasn't anything political constantly getting into it, but also people weren't getting attacked. The thing about that is, have you guys noticed that virtually every single Family Guy episode today, somebody gets beaten up? Like, it's like almost every episode of Family Guy, somebody gets violently attacked. I don't know why they think that that's funny, but back in the day, like, when I used to watch Family Guy when I was a kid, when they had, like, the violence on Family Guy, typically it was, like, the chicken fights. And the chicken fight was funny, because the chicken fight came out of nowhere. It was actually pretty well done. Like, I remember when that started happening. But, like, now today, Family Guy, it just doesn't have that same spark that it used to back in the day. But do you know what show deserves another season? I'll tell you what show deserves another season. And this show could do so much stuff today. Like, there is so much stuff this show could cover today because of all the new material they could cover, all the ridiculous things that are going on today, and that's Boondocks. Boondocks deserves another season, definitely. Like, imagine all the ridiculous things that Boondocks could cover if Boondocks came back today. Like, it could, there's so many things that Boondocks could cover if it came back today as a series. Thank you, Zombie Fanatic, and thank you, U20. Are the Murphys really based on the Boone-Helm in real life? Also, the Lemoyne Raiders, the Quantrill's Raiders. Let me look up Boone-Helm, because I've never looked. I don't know who that is. Oh, he was a serial killer and a cannibal? It doesn't say that this guy was part of a gang, it just says that he was by himself. But, Quantrill Raiders, let me look those guys up here for you. Oh yeah, Quantrill Raiders, I'm looking at this. This is definitely Lemoyne Raiders. Yeah. Do you know what I'll tell you, do you know what characters are actually based on real-life people in Red Dead Redemption 2? I'll tell you the characters in, let me just look up what they were called in real life, the Bloody Benders. Look that up. And Benders, it's spelled the same way as the guy in Futurama. But Bloody Benders. Bloody Benders are the Bloody Benders were a serial killer family that was during the Wild West. And basically, you guys are gonna know what characters I'm talking about. What the Bloody Benders would do is they had a house that was, you know, up a road. And when they would see travelers, they would invite them to the house. They'd be like, oh, you know, have a warm meal with us, sit down with us. You guys know what characters their Bloody Benders are based on here. And the people would come in their house, they would have a meal with them. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, what happens is if you have a meal with them, they spike your food with something and they knock you out. And for some reason, you know, John or Arthur survives, where but in the game, they had all these victims. You get taken to, like, the grave where all the people died. But in real life, the Bloody Benders, I'm just trying to see here. The Bloody Benders were from Germany, I believe. The parents were from Germany. The kids were born here. And what happened is, in the game, they would poison Arthur and John, but that's not what happened in real life. In real life, what would happen is, they would sit at the table, have a meal, and what happens is, there was like this curtain, this white curtain that was right behind where the victim would be sitting. And what would happen is, the son would be behind the curtain and would just come up behind the victim with an axe and just hit them in the face with that. And then what would happen is, they would pull a lever, and the lever would activate a trap door, and the person would just, after they got hit with the axe, would just fall in like a ditch that was, you know, in their basement, kind of like an underground level in their house. And that's basically where they kept the victims. And the reason that they were doing this is they were robbing them. That's pretty much why. So they would kill everybody that came in the house, and they would rob them, and they would take their money. And if you want to know what happened to the Bloody Benders, they had killed, let me look up how many victims did they have, because they killed a lot of people. It says that they had at least 11 victims, 11 known victims. So if they have at least 11 known victims, I would say they'd probably have killed 20 or 30 people or more. I'll look at it in a moment, Zach. Let me see here. Okay, yeah. So what happened was there was this one guy who was invited to eat with them. He comes into their house. But here's the thing about this guy. This guy does not sit right where the curtain is. So every, you know, victim would sit where the curtain is, and they told him to sit there. He didn't want to sit there. And they started getting really pissed and aggressive with him, and he basically left. He thought that it was weird, and he left. Didn't think much of it at that point. There was some general's brother, so some important, you know, rich guy, had gone to eat with them, and they killed him. And after that general's brother went missing, that's when the sheriff got a search party together, and they started looking around. And at that point, they realized that a ton of people have been disappearing in this area. And that same guy who had left the house had said that they were being really weird. And at that point, the Benders probably figured out that they were onto them. And when they went to the house was abandoned. Benders were gone, and nobody really knows what happened to the Bender family. There was reports that said that they died in the canyons, but nobody really knows. This happened in... What state did this happen in? Let me look up. What state was this in? This was in Kansas. So some people said that they died in canyons, but I don't think that that's ever been proven. But do you know what the really messed up thing about the whole Bloody Bender murders is? Is that so many people had died, but all the people that had died were usually poor travelers. And nobody had cared. Nobody cared that all these people were disappearing. Nobody. And then when it was like some rich general's brother that died and went missing, that's when the sheriff got involved. So before that, all those people that had been dying, nobody cared, nobody bothered to investigate it. Kansas has canyons, I guess. I remember I was reading something about it, that they had died in like a canyon or something like that. Somebody was saying that. I might do a lore video on it specifically one day, comparing it to the Red Dead thing. Let me Google it. What happened to the Bloody Benders? So a few stories say that they got lynched and they got thrown in like a river. Another says that a vigilante killed all of them. It's never been proven what happened to them. I could play the South Park game one day. I'd be up for that. I would play that, yeah. No, I haven't played the RoboCop game. Battlefield 3 campaign, definitely. I'm up for doing that, yeah. Maybe, Lucio. But here's the thing about this. Jack the Ripper, if you guys know who Jack the Ripper is, Jack the Ripper is probably the most famous historical serial killer. Jack the Ripper was never caught. And does anybody here know what neighborhood Jack the Ripper did all of his killings in? I'm sure somebody in the chat knows the neighborhood. I know it, but Family Guy was accused of copying The Simpsons. Well, all these things are gonna, it was Whitechapel. Got it. Whitechapel was basically a slum back then. I don't know what Whitechapel is like today. I'm guessing it's a much better place. But back then, in that time period in the Victorian era, Whitechapel was like the most downridden slum in all of London. And Whitechapel was such a disaster of a neighborhood that the sewer system in Whitechapel even broke. The sewer system broke and the streets were flooded with sewage water. And the government was so cheap that they didn't even fix it. So you had like rich neighborhoods in like London where like these really rich aristocrats lived. And their neighborhoods would be absolutely perfect, but the government wouldn't even fix simple infrastructure in Whitechapel. And this is one of the reasons that I think that the Jack the Ripper was never truly caught was because it happened in Whitechapel. Because all of Jack the Ripper's victims in Whitechapel were poor prostitutes. That's where it happened. Now, here's the thing about this. Imagine if Jack the Ripper was murdering rich aristocratic women in, some fancy neighborhood in London. I guarantee you the police response would have been different. I guarantee you. If he was murdering people in like a really rich neighborhood, Jack the Ripper was doing that, the police response would have been totally different. But because he was murdering poor people in, London's, slum, then the police didn't care as much. I mean, they did do an investigation, but that's what I would say is Whitechapel was like such a slum, like, over 150 years ago. It was such a bad place to live. They didn't have the technology at the time, I guess, but the thing about this is if those killings had happened in a different neighborhood, I think the police response would have been different. What would happen if the Quantrill's Raiders rose to power during the American Civil War? Well, I don't know much about the Quantrill's Raiders. I was told about them the first time today on the stream, but I did read a tiny article about them during the stream, and it says that they were basically a pro-Confederate guerrilla resistance movement. They were basically a bunch of rebels that would just do guerrilla attacks. Guerrilla attacks are basically when you attack large groups in small numbers, ambush them. And so the fact that they are a pro-Confederate, guerrilla movement tells me that they're probably some really bad people. Family Guy was accused of copying The Simpsons. Yeah, that happens all the time. Thank you, Zombie Fanatic and Bunny, for the super chat. You think the police is corrupted? It depends where. It really does depend. It depends where. Some places are more corrupt than others. There's always some kind of corruption. Some places it's minimal. Other places it's massive. What I would say is, most of the time, the reason that crimes go unsolved, it's not because the police is corrupt, but it's because of police incompetence. It's a little bit of a difference. Corruption is when the police know who did it, and they're getting paid off to not arrest the person. But incompetence is more when the police are stupid and they don't know what they're doing. They just don't care. That's what the difference is between corruption and incompetence. And that's what's what I'm gonna do tonight is after the live stream is I'm actually gonna call the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division. I haven't had a chance to call them yet, but I'm gonna call them tonight because I know it's gonna be like morning, like in Nigeria at this time. And they basically, I submitted 3 police reports to the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division, and I gave them 3 different scammers. I gave them the scammer's IP addresses, the scammer's city location. I gave them the scammer's phone number. I even had a voice recording of the scammer. I gave them the scammer's Facebook. I gave them the scammer's Instagram. I gave them the scammer's his phone number. There's a bunch of all this information that I gave to the Nigerian Cybercrimes, and they had sent me 3 automated emails back telling me that they would get back to me, and I gave them my phone number, gave them my email. There's nothing, ever. It's been months. And, last report I submitted was a few weeks ago, and I'm pissed. I'm telling you right now. And I'm like, what's the point of having a cybercrimes division? What's even the point of that if you don't even investigate nothing? You don't do anything. So that's what I'm gonna call them after the stream, and I'm basically gonna ask them about my report. I'm gonna start out being nice. I'm not gonna curse at them or something like that, but I'm basically just gonna say to them like, hey, did you take a look at my report? And if they didn't, I'm gonna say, what are you guys doing? Like, what on earth are you guys doing? And I'm sure there's good cops in Nigeria, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to insult the Nigerian police force, but when I see they have a cybercrimes division and they're literally not doing anything when people are reporting scammers, it's beginning to make me question what on earth they're doing. So that's so I'm gonna call them after the stream, and I'm gonna say hey, what's going on? Why did you not respond to me? And look, I get it. I get it that it's I'm sending emails from another country, but I gave them evidence. I gave them evidence of what these scammers were doing. And even if they can't do anything, even if they can't arrest the scammers, they could have at least reached out to me. And I told them, if you need any more information, email me or call me. They could at least reach out to me, call me, email me, and be like, sir, can you explain to us exactly what happened? And, and I could, fill them in on the phone and everything like that. But the fact that they don't even reach out to me, and I typed up a pretty long email. It wasn't just, a few sentences. I typed up a pretty long email, an essay. I gave them a summary of everything that had happened, tons of information, screenshots, scammers' website, scammers' IP address, scammers' city location. I gave them all this information. Nothing. And so that's what I say when you're asking me about police corruption. I don't think that the, why would you curse them, pro? Well, when I say curse, just getting pissed that, they're not doing anything. That's just it. It's what the hell are you guys doing? That's it. I don't typically curse at people, and I don't think I would curse at them, but I'm gonna say is that I'm just a bit pissed. I'm a bit annoyed, because honestly, as a law enforcement official, you have a duty to uphold the law, and a victim of a crime is a victim anywhere. It doesn't matter whether the victim of a crime is halfway across the world. If the person who did that, victimized the victim, is in your country, and you know about it, and you know that they're committing crimes against people in another country, and you're not doing anything about it, then you are, you're a terrible police officer. That's just what I'll say about it. So, we'll see. But what I'll say about it, guys, is, I don't know exactly why the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division isn't doing anything to, about these scammers. I'm sure they arrest some scammers, but there's a massive problem in Nigeria with these scammers constantly doing these bot scams and all this other stuff. And what I think the main reason why I don't think the the police in Nigeria arrest these scammers. The reason I think a lot of people say it's corruption. Oh, they're in league with the scammers. They work with the scammers. It could be true, but I don't think that the reason that the police in like Nigeria don't go after the scammers, I don't think it's because of police corruption. I think the main reason is I think it's incompetence. That's what I personally think it is. Basically, how the police in these countries look at it, like a country like Nigeria, like or a country like India. In these countries, if you basically report the scammers to them, what the police in like Nigeria or the police in India, what they typically do is they look at it and they basically say, oh, you know, oh, this guy, he's scamming like an American. Americans have money, you know, they're rich people, they can take a hit. We don't care, you know, it's not our problem. They're not scamming Indians, they're not scamming Nigerians, so we don't care. That's pretty much why they don't react to it as much. It's because they don't care. The scammers aren't targeting people in their country, they're targeting Americans and people outside their country, and because of that they don't care. They think that Americans are like rich people and have tons of money, and so they can take a hit. And that's primarily like why the police in those countries don't do anything. Like if you ever watch those scam baiting channels, like you know those channels where they piss off the scammers, like if you ever watch it when they contact like the police in like Nigeria or they contact like the police in India, like a lot of times the police in India and Nigeria, they'll be like, oh, make a report to your local police station, and they just hang up on them. They don't even like do anything. And it's like, what is doing a report to your local police station gonna do? Like if I call the cops in my town and I tell them that like, oh, you know, this guy's trying to scam me, you know, what are the police in my town able to do? They're not able to do anything about it. Nothing. Like the only thing the police in my town could do is maybe they can make like give a warning out to people that like if this guy calls you, he's a scammer. But other than that, the police in my town have no power to like go to Nigeria or go to India and like arrest somebody. That's up to the police in India and Nigeria. So they should do something about it. That's what I'll say about it. So personally for me, it just pisses me off. I have a lot of respect for law enforcement all over the world, don't get me wrong, but it just personally pisses me off when, like, police officers, they don't care. They look at it, oh, you know, they're scamming Americans, like, you know, they're not scamming our people, we don't care. That personally pisses me off, because, like I said, it does not matter where the victim is. A victim of a crime is a victim anywhere. And if you have people in your country that are scamming people in another country and stealing money from them, and you know where the scammers are, you know what they're doing, and you do nothing about it, you're a scumbag cop. That's just what I'll say about it. Let me see here. The Siphon Filter playthrough was lit. Oh, thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You do have a point about that. Well, thank you, man. Do you agree with having the death penalty for serial killers and other bad people? I'm not necessarily opposed to the death penalty. I think that the death penalty should, how I think the death penalty should work is I think it should be up to the victims' families. That's what I think. Because a lot of times the prosecutor will ask the victim's family, and the prosecutor will sit down with the victim's family and be like, do you want me to pursue the death penalty, or do you want me to go for life in prison? So I think that's probably the best approach, is ask the family what they want. Do they want death penalty, or do they want life imprisonment? I think they should decide on that. Because some families, they don't want death penalty. And the reason some families don't want death penalty is because if you give the death penalty to somebody, what happens is they don't get executed until, like, a decade or two later. Like, it's a very long process, so many appeals, and what happens is that family will have to go back to court every single time for the appeal, and they'll have to stare down the same person who killed their friend or their family member, and they have to look at them. And so maybe they just will take, some prefer just life in prison, just don't have to ever go to those appeals, and don't have to ever look at them again. Here. Okay. Whoa, okay. But, I'll let you guys know how it goes when I try to contact the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division. I'll put that in my video. So in my video when I piss off the scammers, that's the only part of the video I've left to record. I'm gonna literally call up the Nigerian Cybercrimes. I'm gonna put it in the video, and I'm gonna tell them about the scammers. I'm gonna ask them why aren't they doing anything. And I'm not gonna be like yelling at them, but I'm really gonna just be very straightforward with them. And I'm gonna be like, what are you guys doing? Like, you know, why are you guys not doing anything? And they're probably gonna hang up on me. That's probably what I think is gonna happen. I'm probably gonna get hanged up on, and they're probably gonna block my number. That's at least my prediction of what I think is gonna happen. Okay. When is your Call of Duty review? In a few days, I'm working on it, so it'll be up. Should I buy the new Call of Duty or Modern Warfare 2 for online play? Can somebody tell me, is the zombies... I'm gonna be doing Bully. Don't worry, man. I promise. Bully is the next playthrough. I promise. I still have 2 parts left of Enemy Front, but that's because Enemy Front is a game I'm already doing. But Bully is coming up very soon. It is the next playthrough. I promise. You have my word on that. What... Let me see here. What is it? Please yell and curse them. No, I'm not gonna curse out them because it's gonna make me look very unprofessional. I'm just gonna basically just be very straightforward with them, and I'm gonna be like, why aren't you guys doing anything? Like, what are you doing? That's it. And in the email, I wrote in the email, I told them in the report that if they don't get back to me within a week, that I will contact them and complain to their supervisor. That's literally what I wrote in the email. And they haven't gotten back to me in 2 weeks, so we're gonna have a phone call to the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division. We'll see how that goes, but they're probably gonna hang up on me. Okay, let me ask you guys this. Does anybody know the answer to this question? Is Modern Warfare 3 zombies? Is that part of the Warzone thing now? Is it? Does that mean... Are you able to download Modern Warfare Zombies for free? Or do you need Modern Warfare 3? Because I know that to play Warzone, that's free. But is the Modern Warfare Zombies, can you play that if you download Warzone? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me that in the comments? Because one of my friends was asking me about that earlier. He was asking me, does he need Modern Warfare 3 to play Zombies? And I didn't even know. You need Modern Warfare 3. Okay. That kind of sucks. They should have made it part of Warzone. They should have made it free with Warzone. That kind of sucks. Okay, I'll play the South Park game one day, Phoenix. I'll play it one day. No, I never heard about that, Fanatic. He's a police officer here in the UK. Oh my god, that's horrible. Last thing you'd expect is a police officer to be a serial killer. Can you show us griefer fails? The top 10 griefer fails is actually one of my most popular videos of all time. But I don't think I'm ever gonna do another video of the top 10 griefer fails because I tend to stay away from public sessions. I don't really play in them much anymore. So it's just, I don't, yeah, I guess I just don't deal with them much anymore. I still remember the #1 griefer fail. I still remember that, where, like, the guy was just... A guy was teleporting around with a tank. Like, he had the Kanjala in GT Online. He was doing a teleporting glitch, and he would just teleport in front of people and blow up their cargo with a tank. And what I did was I got an AA trailer out, the flak cannon, which is the strongest weapon in the game besides the orbital cannon, and I waited till he teleported in front of me. He teleported right in front of me, and I literally just blew him up with the flak gun. I literally blew him up instantly. It was the funniest it was the funniest fail that I've ever had. It was it's such a good one. Can I do the Walking Dead game series? Which one? Who is Playboy X based on? I don't know if Playboy X is based on anybody. I think a lot of people think that Dwayne in GTA 4 is supposed to be based on Frank Lucas, the big drug lord that was in the Bronx in the 1970s. But Frank Lucas was in the 70s, big. Dwayne was big in the 90s, and Dwayne sold crack where Lucas sold heroin, I believe. So I don't think that Dwayne is based on Frank Lucas. Have I ever shot a Winchester 1897? let me look up that model specifically. I have shot a few lever guns, but I don't know if it's that one. Oh, it's the shotgun. How could I forget this one? Yeah, this one. I know this one is this is the there was also a trench gun, the trench gun version of this in World War I. I know what this is. No, I never shot this one. Okay. What is the Nigerian prince scam? The Nigerian prince scam is basically a scam where you get a ridiculous email, and in that email they will tell you that they are that you're related to some prince, some king, queen in Nigeria, and that your long-lost relative has died, and that the prince has, like, left you this massive fortune of, like, millions of dollars, and to claim this fortune, you just need to basically pay, like, a fee and just pay, like, $1,000 or whatever it is. You know, people very rarely fall for it, but, like, back in the day, it was very common. Like, it got completely out of control. The thing about this is, do you know what the most ridiculous thing is? Do you know what the most ridiculous scam email that I've ever seen is? The most ridiculous one. I saw a scam email once, and it was the stupidest scam email I've ever seen. And it was my dad's friend who had gotten the scam email. And my dad's friend, his English was, like, terrible. Like, I had to speak to him in Polish because his English is just so bad. But he lives primarily in Poland. And what happened was, it's a few years ago, and he told me that he got this strange email and he didn't understand it. It was something about money, and he thought that it was real. And he asked me if I could translate it, and basically what we did was we got into a Skype call, and he shared me his screen, and I was looking at his email, and when I was looking at the email, it was in English. And do you know what it literally said to him? It said that he was related to some emperor in China. Like, that's what it said. It said he was related to an emperor in China, and it said that the emperor has died in an earthquake. The emperor of China has died in an earthquake, and because of that, he's gonna inherit, like, you know, $100 million fortune, and that the guy who claims to be writing the email, it claims to be the emperor's lawyer, and says that he needs a processing fee in order to release the funds. And he says that you are gonna get millions of dollars, and he says, I will donate the processing fee to charity. So, like, you know, give me a fee right now. And first of all, that email was just so stupid and so ridiculous because, for one, the guy he was emailing was in Poland. He was a Polish guy. So, like, a Polish guy that's, like, related to some Chinese emperor, that makes no sense. And the second thing is there are no emperors in China. Like, you know, the last emperor in China that existed was, like, before Chiang Kai-shek overthrew him. When Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalists in China overthrew him, there was no Chinese emperor anymore. And then, during World War II, the Japanese put in a puppet Chinese emperor. But there was no Chinese emperor after that. The communists took power, and if there was any royal family in China, the communists would seize all the money. So Mao and the communists in China would have seized all the emperor's money, everything. So that's another thing why the scam is just so stupid, because it's like that there's an emperor in a communist country and then he died and you're gonna get the fortune. It's like literally the communists took all the monarchy's money. So it was such a stupid thing. And I told him, I didn't even bother translating it for him. I just told him, just delete this email. This is a scam. Don't listen to it. And he deleted it. But that was just like, it was just so stupid, because it was just, that was the stupidest scam email that I think I've ever seen in my life. It was so dumb. I had a good Thanksgiving, yeah. Oh, I had, basically, oh, I forgot, I had gotten I got an email once, where, basically, it was a really stupid thing. the email that I had gotten once, it was a couple years ago, and this one actually didn't appear in my junk mail. But basically, somebody sent me an email. It was in English, and the email basically said that my package at the airport, that my package at the airport, had been was full of cocaine and other drugs, and that this is the FBI that's emailing me right now, and that I have to provide them with my social security number to verify my identity, so to prove my innocence. That was the that was probably the stupidest, another stupid one that I had gotten. You guys ever see that video, that Kid Boga did, where Kid Boga, he's that guy that always trolls the scammers with the gift card redeeming? You guys ever see Kid Boga's video, where their scammer was, like, calling him and, like, telling him that his car had been, like, stopped and was, like, full of cocaine and all this other stuff? And Kid Boga just admitted to it. He's like, it's my car, it's my... It's just, man, that guy's so funny. That was, that guy's really good at trolling them. I often get package and account locked scams. Oh yeah, those emails, like the most common scam is you've been locked out of your Amazon account. It's like sign in here to confirm your details. That's the most common scam now. Thank you, Mr. Waifu. Thank you, Mario, for the super chat. I don't know about that, Mario. I just personally think that the district attorneys in, like, some places like Chicago, I think that they're personally really incompetent. I know about that. I know the last Chinese emperor was imprisoned, and then they actually let him go.
You gonna pay for this?
You should do a collaboration with Kid Bogo. I don't know what we can do. I would be up for it if you wanted my help trolling somebody. I'm definitely not as good as trolling as him. I'm not as good as that. But, you know, he's much better at that than me. But... Hey, Pro, just started playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. Pretty fun, but definitely not used to the web swinging speed, especially after finishing Spider-Man 2. What, is it faster in Spider-Man 2? Thank you, Blind Eagle. Was it during World War I or before World War II that the final Emperor of China... It was after World War I, Chiang Kai-shek overthrew the Chinese Emperor. I do hate Mao and Stalin, what do you mean? Yeah, I'll do more shorts, I definitely will do more of them.
Dumbest thing you've ever done. For the love of God.
Very good. The sheriff has been asking for this one personally. Here. You earned it.
Most hated GTA antagonist? Probably either Tenpenny or Dimitri. Maybe Dimitri. You play New Vegas? Yes, but I haven't played it in years, but I did like it a lot. The worst thing that Claude did, I actually might make a lore video on this. Also, Pro, I might be free next Friday, and if I am, we can play Uno with Fernando, maybe even on stream after Red Dead Online. I'll keep you posted, but it'll be fun. Okay, Blinded Eagle, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that, Blinded Eagle. Thank you for the super chat. Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is bad. I watched Ackman's stream. He had to fight human-based enemies, and the maps were crammed into one big map. You know the thing? The thing is, I'll tell you this about Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. I think that what you get for killing zombies, I think it should be doubled. So I think they should double the rewards on all the contracts. Like, the contracts that you do, and all the zombie kills, you should get double the amount of points that you get right now. The reason I think that is because I played several rounds of the new zombies mode, unless I'm doing something wrong. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I've noticed that every single time you play the Modern Warfare Zombies, by the time that you get into the level 3 zone, because you can only survive in the level 3 zone if you have perks. If you have perks and you have Pack-a-Punch 3, that's the only way you can survive. If you don't have perks or Pack-a-Punch 3, you are not going to survive in the level 3 zone. You won't last even a minute. And the level 3 zone, you never get into it until, like, the last 5 minutes. Like, there's literally, like, 5 minutes or more left in, like, the session, because by the time you get enough points to, like, Pack-a-Punch 3, and you get all the perks and everything like that, the radiation kicks in, like the Aether Cloud, and, like, you can't even do anything in the level 3 zone. Is it only me, or does anybody else agree with me on that? Like, you barely have enough time to do anything in the level 3 zone, because by the time, like, you finally do Pack-a-Punch 3, like, it's like, the cloud, the Aether Cloud, is already over most of the map at that point. You just don't have enough time to do anything in there. And the thing about that is level 3 zone only is good if you have teammates that will follow you in there. If you go in there by yourself, even with a Pack-a-Punch 3, you're gonna die. So, like, the only way you can survive with teammates, and chances are your teammates aren't gonna want to go in there, and so you don't even have a chance to do anything in there. What was Tommy's plan that Lance ruined to get rid of Diaz? What I personally think is I think that Tommy was gonna set Diaz up. Tommy was probably gonna do like a coup basically on Diaz. That's probably what I think was gonna happen. What do you think about China's president saying he admires Mao? Xi Jinping is a massive scumbag. Yeah, that guy, Xi Jinping isn't just a, brutal dictator, but he's also an imperialist. Because Xi Jinping will not leave Taiwan alone. Taiwan does not want to be part of China, and he will not leave Taiwan alone. He's vowed to bring Taiwan back in. He does, allies, you're right. Did I go Black Friday shopping? No, I don't do Black Friday shopping. I don't do that. Yes, I could do that, Mustang. Yes, I know about that last Japanese soldier that surrendered. That was in the Philippines, too. No, I haven't been to a parade in a long time in New York. Well, Tojo was not the president of Japan. Tojo was the shogun of Japan. I think Japan had another prime minister during World War II. I just don't remember the guy's name. Funimaro, Kono. Okay. Tojo was basically like, Tojo was pretty much like the dictator of Japan. Tojo, I would say, is kind of like, Mussolini, Tojo to the emperor is kind of like Mussolini was to, King Emmanuel of Italy. But the thing that people, do you know what historical inaccuracies so many people get wrong about Japan during World War II? I see so many comments of this. It's like there's just so many what the hell? What is this? Oh, somebody fell off the cliff. I see so many comments of like people saying that like they oftentimes say, oh, the emperor was innocent. And they say that the Emperor had nothing to do with all this bad stuff, and it was all Tojo, and the Emperor had no control, and it was Tojo who was doing all this stuff. If the Emperor wanted to, he could have sacked Tojo. He could have got rid of Tojo if he wanted to. The Emperor was, Mac, I don't understand what you're saying there. Is that Russian or Belarusian? I don't know. I know my dad speaks Russian, but I don't understand it, what you're saying there, Mac. Anyways, what I was saying is about the Emperor. The Emperor was a scumbag. Hirohito was a massive scumbag. He's a terrible human being. Now, was he as bad as Tojo? No. But he was still, you know, a piece of crap. The thing about Hirohito is, you have to remember this. Maybe Hirohito didn't know about the attack on America, but he very much was fine with Japan's imperial ambitions in Asia. So, like, when Japan was invading China, this is before World War II even started in Europe, Japan was actually invading China, and they invaded China 2 times, 1933 and then 1937. And Japan was just slaughtering people in China, just mass murdering. You had the Nanking Massacre, which the Nanking Massacre is arguably one of the worst massacres in human history. The Japanese murdered 200,000 civilians in 2 weeks. And the Emperor very well knew that this stuff was going on, did absolutely nothing about it, even encouraged Japan's imperial ambitions. And one other thing I'll tell you about the Emperor is, if anybody knows what Unit 731 was, Unit 731 was one of the worst things that Japan did during World War II. There's only one video game that I know of that actually covered Unit 731, and that was the Dark Pictures Men of Medan. Was a horror game. It was the only one that I know covered it. But I'm trying to find this collectible here. I know it's somewhere here. What Unit 731 basically was, it was a Japanese covert biological chemical weapons facility, and this was in China. What the Japanese would do is they had several experiments. They would experiment on people with diseases. They would test bacteria, viruses on people. They did chemical warfare. They have rooms where they would gas people, test poison gas. The Japanese used those chemical weapons in China, and they also poisoned wells. So the Japanese would drop, like, bacteria into, like, wells in China and poison thousands of Chinese civilians. they would so one of these diseases even got so out of control that their own soldiers even got sick with it, and they even had to do a quarantine on their own soldiers. So like, and the reason that this goes back to the Emperor is they were testing flamethrowers on people, they were electrocuting people to death, they were oh yeah, the freezing experiment. The freezing experiment was probably one of the worst ones, where they would freeze somebody to death, and they wanted to test how cold somebody could get before they died, like what the temperature was when somebody would die. So there was just so many horrible things that they were doing to these people, and the victims of this were mostly Chinese civilians they would kidnap from different villages and towns in the area. They also experimented on Allied prisoners of war. So prisoners of war that they would capture, they captured like British or American prisoners of war. Chances are they could have been sent to Unit 731 where those things were happening. The Emperor knew about Unit 731. He knew about that was going on. The top scientist that was at Unit 731 sent a letter to the Emperor, and he asked the Emperor, can you give us permission to do these experiments? And the Emperor signed off on it. He signed off on it. He was perfectly fine with that. They were doing experimentations on people. So, like, when people oftentimes they say, oh, like, Emperor Hirohito was innocent, he was an honorable man, he didn't know about all these horrible things told you, that it's like, come on, seriously? Like, even if Hirohito, wasn't able to stop Tojo, you would have to be a complete idiot to not know the horrible things that Tojo was doing. You'd have to be a complete moron. Like, people in other countries knew about the horrible things that Japan was doing, and they weren't even near Japan at that time, and yet the Emperor, the leader, of Japan, doesn't even know about the horrible things that his own military is doing. That's pure nonsense. He very much well knew about the horrible things that the Japanese military and government was doing, and he was perfectly fine with a lot of that stuff. So I personally don't think that Hirohito was innocent. I think Hirohito was a massive scumbag. But if you want to know why Hirohito didn't get hanged, the majority of the American public actually did want to hang Hirohito. They did. So the majority of the American public wanted him executed. But the reason that Hirohito did not get put on trial and he didn't get executed is I personally think it was probably a better idea that they didn't kill him. And that they didn't, put him on trial. The reason, even though Hirohito wasn't innocent and he was a terrible human being, the reason it wasn't a good idea to put him on trial is because the Emperor was seen as a god in China. He was seen as a god and a cultural symbol of Japan. I'm sorry, I'm losing my track of thought. He was seen as a cultural symbol in Japan, and he was seen as a god in Japan. And if they had put the Emperor on trial in Japan and they had executed, Japan could have fallen to different warlords. Different warlords could have taken power. There would have been endless civil war, endless fighting, and it would have basically just never ended. And that's why it was better to get the Emperor on the U.S.'s side. That's why MacArthur was smart not to kill the Emperor. It was better to get the Emperor on his side and to have the Emperor tell his people to stand down. When he told his people to stand down, they would listen. And so that's why MacArthur didn't have the Emperor executed. So a lot of people think the Emperor wasn't executed because he was innocent. No, the Emperor was guilty. The reason the Emperor wasn't executed is because if he was executed, the country would have fallen into civil war and anarchy. I like your Siphon Filter 2 walkthrough, even though I know that SWAT is usually found in LA or anywhere else, but the NYPD version of SWAT is ESUO. Okay. I didn't know that. I would just always call them SWAT. It's like the Japanese generals not knowing the atrocities their soldiers did to civilians, and them saying they didn't give Japanese soldiers the order to do those atrocities. Well, here's the thing about this zombie fanatic, is, the way that Japanese and German generals had defended themselves at trials, because you had the Nuremberg trials for Nazi war criminals, and then you had the Tokyo war tribunals for Japanese war criminals. So Japan had their own set of trials. The way that the Japanese generals and the German generals, behaved at trial was very different. They both committed terrible atrocities, but the way that they defended themselves was a bit different. Basically, what the Nazi generals, their main argument at trial, is they were claiming that they were innocent, and that they could not have done these, they were not guilty of these charges because they were following orders. That was their excuse. So when you, basically the Nuremberg trials ruled that you cannot use that as an excuse that you were following orders. You can't use that as an excuse to justify some kind of killing. So that's what the Nazi generals would typically do. They would give some BS excuse, and they would say that they were following orders. That's not an excuse. That is not, you cannot claim that as an excuse. And honestly, I don't believe them. I don't believe that they were sorry for that. I think the only thing that they were sorry about is that they lost the war. That's the only thing I think they were sorry about. They were perfectly fine with all those mass murders, all those atrocities. Those people had no conscience whatsoever. They were just using that as an excuse to try to get out of it. The Japanese generals, on the other hand, their defense was very different. When they were, so the Nazi generals would claim that they were following orders and that they had no choice. The Japanese generals, when they were asked, why did your soldiers, do these horrible atrocities? Why did you murder so many civilians? The Japanese generals would claim that they didn't give any order to kill civilians, but their soldiers did anyways. That's what they would claim. And so, for the Japanese, we don't have that many documentation that the Japanese had generals had given specific orders to kill civilians, but we know that their military had just basically pillaged and murdered tons of civilians. But the thing about that is, these Japanese generals, what I'll tell you about them, is that maybe while they might not have given specific orders to murder civilians, their soldiers still did that. Their soldiers did horrible atrocities in China, the Philippines, Taiwan, Korea, Indonesia, Indochina. They had done such horrible things in pretty much every single country they had gone in. So those Japanese soldiers would just pillage, they would commit rapes, they would just cut people's heads off with their katanas. It was just brutal. And rule number 1 in the military is that if you are a commanding officer in the military and your soldiers do something horrible, you are responsible for your soldiers. So they couldn't use that as an excuse. And the thing about this is, even if you are a Japanese general during World War II, and you're not giving any orders for your soldiers to kill people, but your soldiers are just going around just murdering, raping civilians, and you do absolutely nothing to stop it, you are part of it at that point. Even if you didn't give any kind of specific orders, you are part of it. So my question to those Japanese generals who claim that they didn't give orders to it is, why did you not stop these atrocities? Why did you not, have your soldiers shot or hanged for murdering civilians? Why did you not stop your own soldiers? It's because they didn't care. The Japanese saw anybody that was not Japanese to them as subhuman. Japan was very much a fascist country during World War II. It was the Japanese were supremacists too. They believed that everybody that was Japanese was inferior to them. The Japanese would do this propaganda. They had this group, and this group that the Japan had, it was called the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. And the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere was basically a giant propaganda network that they had in their colonies. And what they would do is they would tell the people in the colonies that they conquered. Like when they conquered China, when they conquered like Indonesia, the Philippines, what the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere would typically say, oh, we are liberating you from the Europeans, and that, Japan is all for Asian equality, and all Asians are equal, and all this other stuff. But the reality of it was, the Japanese did not believe that all Asians were equal. They believed that they were the best Asians. They believed that they were superior to the Chinese. They believed they were superior to the Vietnamese, the Indonesians, the Philippines, the Taiwanese, the Koreans, and so forth. They believed that they were always better than everyone else. So they saw everyone else as subhuman to them. That's why the Japanese generals didn't do anything about it, because they just didn't care. They didn't see the people that the Japanese soldiers were murdering as people. They just saw them as inferior to them. They didn't care about that. And for the thing about this is, for these generals to talk so much about honor, for them to talk so much about honor, but yet you do such horrible things to civilians, it is this absolutely disgusting. And I'll say this is, honestly, if I had to choose, would I rather be a prisoner of war in a Soviet gulag, or a prisoner of war under Japan? I'd rather go to the Soviet gulag than be like a prisoner of war for the Japanese military. I'd rather take my chances in a Soviet gulag in the middle of Siberia in the freezing cold than I would like being a prisoner in the for the Japanese. That's how badly the Japanese treated their prisoners. That even the Soviets were treated their prisoners better than the Japanese. That was how absolutely terrible they were. And that's not a big bar to cross either. The Soviets were very horrible to their prisoners, but even the Japanese were worse than them. Let me see here. Thoughts on the NBA player Josh Giddey. He's under fire because he allegedly had been dated a minor, but I think she's 17 and he's 21. I don't know anything about that. Blinded Eagle, thank you for the super chat. I don't really follow sports. I don't really follow the NBA. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's an excuse that he can possibly give. Let me see here. Welcome to the 15th annual worldwide push-up contest held in Tokyo, China. Vice City Stories commercial for Push-Ups the movie. Oh, push-up contest. Tokyo, China. That reporter was so stupid. Didn't Himmler order German generals not to punish troops, No, that, well, what I will say about this is that you have to have honor, and you have to have honor, and you have to have a conscience. And the thing about this is, you are not, what is it called? I'm trying to remember what the name of the charge is in trial specifically. But if somebody puts a gun to your head, right, and forces you to commit a crime, right, you will, in most courts in my country at least, I don't know how other countries are, most courts in America, you will not be punished for a crime that you committed if you were threatened. So if somebody, for example, like, let's say that somebody, like, takes your family hostage, right? And they say they're gonna kill your family unless you go to the bank and, like, rob the bank. If that situation happened, the person who robbed the bank probably would not face any kind of charges for that unless he hurt somebody. If he hurt somebody during the robbery, if he just robbed the bank because his family being held hostage, he probably would not get punished. But if he hurt somebody, if he physically hurt somebody or killed somebody during the bank robbery, then he will get punished for that. Because generally, if somebody is threatening you, most courts will take your side in that you had to commit the crime, unless you hurt somebody. If you hurt somebody, then you basically, that defense is completely thrown out the window. And that's basically going back to my point about the, that's basically going back to my point on this, is you cannot use that as an excuse. There's people that would claim, oh, these Germans during World War II, is they had no choice, they had to do that. That is not an excuse. That is not an excuse. And for me personally, I'd rather die myself than hurt somebody else. I would never be able to hurt somebody else. I would not be able to live with myself. I would not be able to sleep at night if I had to hurt somebody. So I'd rather myself get hurt. I'd rather die myself than ever hurt anybody else possible. And so these people, they choose themselves over the other people. That's what I would say, is I don't believe those excuses when people say, oh, they had no choice and they had to commit these war crimes. I don't believe that personally. I think they're just using that as a defense to be able to get out of it. There's a picture during World War II. I think that it was, I'm trying to remember what country it happened in, but I think that it happened in Serbia. I think it was Serbia, because I remember it was in Yugoslavia. And basically what happened was a bunch of Wehrmacht was executing a bunch of people in a village in Serbia. And what happened was, one of the German soldiers did not want to carry out the atrocity, and he was shot with the other civilians. He was put up against the wall and shot with them. That guy had honor. That guy had integrity. He died in the end, but at least that guy died for what he believed in. At least he did not. At least he didn't do that. He didn't commit that terrible atrocity. And wait, what, Levy? Killer capture the target. Let's go over here. Yeah, I heard about the failed Ronald Reagan assassination attempt. I know about that. That happened when, like, Reagan was getting into a car, right? But yeah, that's what I will say is ultimately is I don't believe these excuses that these people made. These these German war criminals when they were They were basically just saying that they were that they had to do it and they were following orders. I don't believe that. I don't believe them. I think they were perfectly fine with carrying out those orders. I think they believed in those orders, and I think they were proud of those orders. I think the only reason they used that as an excuse was just so they could get out of it during trial. I think that was it. You know, I'll tell you something. The only top-ranking Nazi, like the only really high-ranking Nazi that didn't get hanged, most of them got hanged or got life in prison, like the really high-up people. The highest-ranking Nazi that talked to Hitler several times that did not get hanged and actually ended up getting released from prison was Albert Speer. That was the only one. Albert Speer was basically Germany's biggest architect, Hitler's personal architect. So when Hitler was like having him design cities and other things for the German military, Speer was the one who he would bring in to do all of that stuff. Now the thing about this is near the end of World War II, so like in Europe, so this is like March 1945. Germany is on its last legs. The fronts are closing in. The country is completely running out of supplies. Germany's getting squeezed. It's gonna collapse in just a matter of weeks. What happens is Hitler gives Speer an order, and the order that he gives him is the Nero decree. What the Nero decree is it's based off the Roman Emperor Nero, who burned Rome to the ground. What the Nero decree was Hitler was telling Speer that he has to destroy all German infrastructure, everything. And as Speer, as an architect, could not bring himself to do something like that, just destroying all this stuff. Now, the thing about this is, when Hitler ordered Speer to destroy all infrastructure, he wasn't just talking about stuff like military stuff, like train tracks and bridges, and factories. He was talking everything. Factories, bridges, train tracks, hospitals, schools, burning down farms, antennas, anything that Germany would need to survive after World War II to rebuild. Hitler wanted everything destroyed. He wanted nothing left, nothing whatsoever. And Speer actually argued with Hitler, and he told Hitler, he's like, if we destroy all this stuff, Germany will have nothing left after World War II. And Speer basically told him, Hitler told Speer that the true Germans have already died, and all the Germans that are left now are weak and inferior, and they deserve to die and be destroyed, because they have failed him. That's what, so that's what Hitler thought of the Germans that were, when Germany was losing World War II in the end. Hitler never blamed himself. He never took responsibility for starting the war. He blamed everyone else. And it wasn't that he caused Germany to lose the war. He brought Germany to ruin. It was that the German people had brought ruin instead. That was the way that Hitler had personally seen it. He never blamed himself. He blamed everyone else, and he thought that all the Germans that were left were inferior, and that they were weak, and that they deserved to be destroyed for failing him. What ended up happening is Speer was horrified by that, and Speer could not bring himself to do that. And Speer actually disobeyed the order. So he didn't burn down all those farms. He didn't blow up the schools, the bridges, and all the other stuff, all the factories. He disregarded the order. And what ended up happening is when he met Hitler for the last time in his bunker, this is a few weeks before Hitler had committed suicide, shot himself in the head, Speer had basically told Hitler that he had disobeyed the order. And Hitler had basically just given him a blank stare, and that was it. Like, he didn't have him shot or anything, and Speer had walked out. And then a few weeks later, Hitler had killed himself. Now, that was the only reason that Speer had been spared from hanging. That was the only reason, because he disobeyed Hitler in the last few weeks of the war, and he didn't destroy all the German infrastructure. He kept that intact. So that's why Speer wasn't hanged. However, though, don't think that Speer is a good guy. Just because, like, Speer disobeyed this, what Speer did disobeying that order, he did a good thing, not listening to Hitler, but Speer was not a good man. Because what happened was Speer, even though he was an architect, a lot of the projects that Speer had built, a lot of the construction projects that he used slave labor from concentration camps. So he used concentration camp prisoners, a lot of prisoners who had died, slave labor. Speer was in charge of those projects. And Speer would later claim, he's like, oh, I didn't know that there was slave labor from concentration. He knew. He very much knew that it was slave labor from concentration camps. He knew. There's no question in my mind that Speer definitely knew about that. So that was pretty much Speer, I think, served like 20 years in prison, and then he was released. He's the only top-ranking Nazi that was close to Hitler that was not hanged or sent to life in prison. That was the only one. But yeah, that was and that's a good thing that the Nuremberg trials that they had basically executed most of these people. However, though the unfortunate thing, what I'll say, is that some of the top Nazis at the end of World War II did never face justice, and the reason that they never faced justice was because some of these Nazi scientists, the top like scientists, and some of these scientists were involved in developing like really horrible weapons for Germany during World War II. They were actually, all the charges against them were dropped if they agreed to work for the United States government. So like a lot of these Nazi scientists that built the V2 rockets, they were actually brought in to build NASA. So NASA was actually formed a lot by Nazi scientists. A lot of people actually don't know about that. And so a lot of these scientists were responsible for horrible things. The way that I personally see it, I don't care how intelligent you are. I don't care. I don't care how smart you are. If you committed a crime, you deserve to get punished. That's the way I personally see it. You did something horrible, you deserve to get hanged. That's the way I personally see it. So I think those V2 rocket scientists, I think they deserve to get hanged. I don't think that we should have hired them for NASA. I think that was a horrible thing to do. Those guys were some pretty bad guys. And those V2 rockets, what people don't know about the V2 rockets is the V2 rocket was not designed as a military weapon primarily. It was designed as a weapon to target civilians. That's what the V2 rocket was. It was a terror weapon. It was primarily designed to target civilians. A lot of people think that the V2 rocket was, a military weapon, that it was meant to hit military targets. No. Whenever the V2 rockets were fired, most of the time they were fired at civilians. That's most of the time they were. They were not fired at military targets that much. They were most of the time fired at civilians. If you just look at the V2 rockets, when the V2 rockets would just hit cities in France in the later stages of the war, and they would also hit London, they were targeting civilians. They were not targeting military targets. So those scientists developed weapons that were specifically targeting thousands of civilians had died from those V2 rockets. If you ever watch my playthrough of Sniper Elite V2, that's pretty much the story in that, is getting to these V2 rocket scientists before the Soviets do. Wait, what are you saying, WTF to what, John? Is that why Germany was still prosperous years after World War II? I think that Germany became prosperous later on because I think it was because the U.S. had invested heavily in it, and the U.S. did not want Western Germany to fall to communism. And I think it was because Germany got severely demilitarized too. I think that was part of it.
Kept things simple, I see. That's how we like it.
How did I know what? Okay, I guess we'll probably play a little poker. Let's go to Tumbleweed. I don't talk much about that blade. No, Fidel Castro is not a good person. What is the website where you buy stocks? When I haven't bought stocks in a long time, but when I did buy stocks, it was mostly on Robinhood. Okay. Who's a protagonist you would invite for Thanksgiving? Aiden Pierce. Thank you, Blind Eagle, for the super chat. Which Sniper Elite game do you think has the best story? Maybe V2? V2 or 5? Maybe 5. I would say 5 is the best one. V2 second best one. Question for y'all: which faction from Fallout would you be in? Oh, well, which location are you talking about? If you're talking about New Vegas, what faction would I be in? That's probably a pretty easy question to answer. In New Vegas, I would be working for Mr. House if I was in Vegas. That's what I would be doing, personally. I don't like NCR and I don't like Caesar's Legion. I don't like either of them. I personally think Mr. House is the only guy that knows what he's doing. I think everyone else is either incompetent, evil, or has no idea what they're doing, which that's pretty much incompetent too, but... Not yes, man. Well, the thing about Mr. House has a plan. He has a plan. He knows what to do. He's had this plan for many, many years, decades. He's been planning all this stuff. So that's there is a, what is it, well, after Germany became demilitarized, it just, they started investing in other things, in their economy and trade with other countries, the same as Japan. And it worked out well for them. You know, you look at Japan and Germany, it's two countries that were completely destroyed, over 70 years ago. And now both of these countries have rebuilt tremendously. Go here. What was it? Okay. Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you're really feeling? I'm busting my head to save you, and this is what I get. Most savage line in the game. Wait, who says that? That sounds very familiar. Who? A Blinded Eagle? Thank you for the super chat. Japan is such a peaceful country today, but 70 years ago was very, very different. Oh, and I'll tell you guys a really messed up story about Poland during World War II, which I'm actually gonna talk about this part on my Enemy Front part, so like with the final parts of Enemy Front. There's this one guy. I was trying to find his name because I forgot what his name was. The thing I remember is he had a big scar on his face. But the guy's name is Heinz Reinfarth, and this guy was an SS commander, and this is the worst of the worst, most evil scumbag. And what happened is during the Warsaw Uprising, this guy massacred thousands of civilians in Poland, thousands of civilians that he mass murdered. And what ends up happening is, after World War II, this guy sits in West Germany, and the government of Poland at that time wanted him extradited, and they wanted him hanged. And West Germany refused to extradite this guy to Poland for 2 reasons. The first reason that they had said is they said that this guy, they said there was no evidence against him, which there was clear evidence. This guy was an SS commander, was responsible for thousands of deaths. The second thing is that West Germany was claiming that Poland was a dictatorship, and so therefore that the Polish government was unreliable. Now, it is true, Poland was a communist dictatorship. That is true at that time in in the 1950s when they wanted this guy extradited. But even though I hate communism, in that instance, the Polish government was 100% right on that. That guy was, terrible Nazi war criminal. That guy should have been extradited, should have been sent to Poland to face charges. But the story gets even worse, guys. It gets even worse. So not only did West Germany not extradite this guy who committed these horrible war crimes in Poland, but this guy was elected mayor in a town in Germany. The town's called Westernland. I don't know what that is. Westernland. That's the name of the town. And then he served in the German parliament up until the 1960s, and then he was a lawyer. And he got a general's pension. So they gave him a general's pension. So they gave him a retirement. And it's in 2014, the German government apologized to the Polish government over it, that they never extradited the guy, and that they gave the guy like a general's pension, and that he was elected as a member of parliament and all this stuff. That is just that's, my god, it's just such a horrible thing. But I'll talk about it on my enemy front playthrough when I get the chance. But that's it. There are unfortunately some really terrible Nazi war criminals that never faced justice. That was a perfect example of that. Hi, Pro. My ID's still not come up. I'm sorry, Goat. I've just been so busy lately. I will send you, I'll try to send you a message, after the stream. I do remember your PSN. I'm sorry, man. But if you ever get the chance, just look up the guy's name, Heinz Reinfarth. And just look up Warsaw Uprising, and you'll see that, the terrible crimes that he did. He was responsible for the Wola massacre in Poland. The Wola massacre, between 40 to 50,000 civilians were murdered in 7 days, in 1 week. 50,000 civilians were killed, and this guy had never been, never faced trial for that. Okay, see if we can get some good hands here. Like the one that invited to the Canadian Parliament. The guy that was invited to the Canadian Parliament, that guy was part of the Galician division of the SS. The Galician division of the SS had committed horrible war crimes in Poland. And that specific division of the SS, they had committed a massacre in a Polish town. I think it was called Huda something. I have to look up the name of the town exactly. It was like a little bit of a longer name. But that guy's unit had put a bunch of people in a church and just mass murdered them. They literally stuffed a bunch of people in a church and just killed all the people in the church. And that was that guy's unit. And I personally am just absolutely disgusted. And personally, as an American with, like, Polish ancestry, it also deeply offends me that, like, the Canadian government would invite somebody like that to their parliament and celebrate that person as a hero. That's just absolutely disgusted me. That was completely unacceptable. And I don't buy it when the Canadian government, like, says that, like, oh, we didn't know who the guy was and we thought the guy was like a hero and everything like that. It's like, come on. you're inviting some guy to your parliament. You know, this is you're representing your country and representing the entire world. You should check who the hell you're inviting to your parliament. So that was like, and so many people in Poland were offended. And I'll tell you something, my oh, I just don't activate. I don't look at my messages during the stream, but I'll look at it afterwards. What I'll tell you about it is my parents were furious. Like my dad, if you saw my dad was raging. He's absolute rage over that. Like, he was so angry over that whole thing. I don't blame my dad at all, but my dad was really, really pissed when that crap happened. Like, he was really, really angry. And it was about that. And it's understandable. This, you know, the SS Galicia division had committed such horrible atrocities in Poland. But that they invited the guy to the Canadian Parliament, and the Canadian government thought that that was a good idea. It's... And that's... I'm sorry for the trauma dumping over being Canadian. No, man, don't say that. You know, you are, that waifu, that's not your fault. I know you're Canadian, but what your government does, you're not responsible for your, you know, your government being stupid. You're not responsible for that. Don't worry about that, man. It's, you know, it's the Canadian government were just stupid that they invited this guy. They're the ones who are responsible. You're not. Don't worry about that, man. Okay. That here. But here's what I'll tell you guys about that whole thing that happened. When the Canadian speaker, I don't know the Canadian speaker's name, somebody probably knows in the comments here, but when he resigned and apologized, he did do the right thing by apologizing and resigning. He did somewhat take responsibility, but what I will say about this is that while the speaker is at fault for this, how I personally think about it is I think there's more people at fault for this. I don't think it's just the speaker. I think they personally threw everything on the speaker. That's what I think. I think there's other people in the Canadian government, and I think they personally threw everything on the speaker. I think there's more people that were involved in this, and they basically just dumped it all on the speaker, and they said, oh, it's all on the speaker, just so they could get out of it. So the speaker was at fault. He did do the right thing by resigning, but there's more people at fault than just him. I blame the Canadian Prime Minister, too, for that. I'm not trying to get into politics or anything, but I hold him also responsible for that, personally. So that's, that was just, disgusting and an embarrassment. The SS Commander Heinz Reinfarth sounds like a contemptible beast. Some might escape justice on Earth, but no one escapes God's vengeance in the next life. Sometimes I hope that there is a God out there that, you know, punishes these horrible, terrible people. If there is an afterlife, I hope that there is a God that that punishes these horrible, evil people. Check this here. Do you think it would have been better if the Soviets invaded them? Or do you think Japan would have been better off if the Soviets invaded them instead? No. The Soviets did technically invade the Japanese. When the Japanese were occupying Manchuria, China, the Soviets invaded, which that's not technically invading Japan, but that was invading a territory that Japan had conquered. The Soviets did invade Sakhalin, South Sakhalin, which Japan was occupying. That was technically part of mainland Japan. Here's the thing about this, is, the Soviets, at the end of World War II, Stalin wanted Japan divided up like Germany. So you know how Germany was divided up where you had, like, East and West? Stalin wanted the exact same thing done to Japan, but he wanted instead South and North Japan, and Stalin wanted North Japan, so he wanted the Soviets to occupy North. So you know where Hokkaido is? Stalin wanted Hokkaido, the northern part of Japan, and Stalin wanted to occupy it and create a Soviet sphere of influence there. And here's what I'll tell you about it. If if Stalin had gotten occupied North Japan and Hokkaido, do you know what would have happened? You would have basically, no, Goat, I saw your super chats. I saw them, man. I responded to you earlier. I don't know if you heard me. I'll message you after the stream. I hope that I hope the PSN you provided me works. I just didn't have the chance to check it the other day because it's been so busy, man. But I promise I'll message you. But anyways, if Stalin had his way and Japan had been divided up, you would have had another Korea situation. You would have had North Japan become basically like North Korea. You would have had another communist dictatorship up there, and you would have had another North and South Korea situation today. The exact same thing would be happening, and Japan would be a divided up country today. So it was actually, the U.S. actually kicked the Soviets out. Basically, the U.S. said absolutely not. And the U.S. has basically, MacArthur, the U.S. general, basically said, listen, we've been fighting Japan, for 4 years, and you had a peace treaty with Japan, because the Soviets had a treaty with Japan during most of World War II, so they didn't engage any fights with Japan whatsoever. And MacArthur basically was like to the Soviet government, we've been fighting Japan for 4 years. We are going to occupy this region. We are the ones who are going to be creating a new government. You are not going to be coming in here and creating a sphere of influence. And so MacArthur was absolutely right on that. And also, when the U.S., because the U.S. pushed the Soviets out, they told the Soviets, you're not going to be occupying Hokkaido, the U.S. did save Japan. Because if the Soviets got their way and they got Hokkaido, you would have had a divided up Japan, and you would have had basically another North Korea situation. That's exactly what would have happened there. So it would have been actually much worse for Japan if the Soviets had ever occupied it. I'm not personally gonna get into that, generals, because it's an extremely controversial subject in history, but I appreciate this, the super chat. Foreign Queen, okay. Holding here. The Canadian speaker was removed from he's resigned. Oh, and I'll tell you guys something else. The Canadian government is what we were talking about earlier with that whole, inviting that former Nazi SS member to the Canadian Parliament. The Canadian government is making it worse because what happened was the Polish government actually wanted that guy extradited. So they wanted the Canadian government to extradite that Nazi to Poland to face a war crimes trial today. And the Canadian government did not agree to it. They didn't respond to it. I don't think they directly said no, but they didn't respond to it. Oh, I'm definitely gonna win this hand. This hand I'm gonna win. That guy should be extradited to Poland. $2 here. Who's worse, Graves or Allen? That's a little bit of a hard one. Probably Graves. Graves did more damage than Allen did. He could, but Zach, but he just resigned on his own. Okay, I'm gonna win this hand. I'm gonna win this hand 100%. They have no chance of beating me on this. Look at that, 3 aces. Look, yep. There we go. That person has no money left. Putting another $25 in. They need to bring back Alan Roach and McMillan all back in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 when Activision brings out the next Modern Warfare game. Yeah, I just realized that the next Modern Warfare game is going to be called Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Oh man. Yeah, but they need to seriously fix the story for the next Call of Duty game. They need to get it back on track. Thank you, Aussie Guy, for the super chat. Who's worse, John Wilkes Booth or Lee Harvey Oswald? John Wilkes Booth. The reason that John Wilkes Booth is worse than Lee Harvey Oswald is because John Wilkes Booth, by doing what he did a lot more damage to the US with Lincoln's assassination. Because, here's the thing, if Lincoln was able to be president for another, 4 years, Lincoln would have won a second term. I do think that. He would have won a second term. And imagine everything that Lincoln could have accomplished if Lincoln was still president. And instead, we got Andrew Johnson, which is one of the worst American presidents of all time. I'll do Modern Warfare 3 one day. Okay, let's hope that I get a good hand here. Ah, the only way I'm gonna win this is if I get a 6. Ah. Who do I think is more evil, Claude or Dimitri? Thank you, Cesar Alonso. Claude or Dimitri? Dimitri. Because Dimitri pretends to be somebody's friend and manipulate them. Claude doesn't do something like that. I would say Dimitri. If Lincoln never got assassinated, we might not have had segregation. That might have never happened. No, I don't play poker in real life. Hi, Professional. I've been enjoying your classic playthrough so far. Sleeping Dogs, Liberty City Stories, and Vice City Stories. Thank you, Frankie. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Thank you for the, thank you, Frankie, for the super chat. Thanks, man. I actually might be able to get a straight here. 3, 4, 5. Makarov's definitely worse than Menendez. Yeah. The US definitely invested a lot in Japan after World War II. Three, 4, 5. Oh, if I only had a 6, I would have had a perfect straight there. Damn. Boston or Vlad? Vlad, Hey Pro, I've been watching your Ghost of Tsushima playthrough. I think I might purchase that game for Christmas. I hope that you do, Boombox Guru. Thank you for the super chat. Ghost of Tsushima is a great game. I want to do a playthrough of that game again. Ghost of Tsushima, I definitely want to do another playthrough of. Aw, come on. Please get a 4. Oh, damn. Who's better, old Gaz or new Gaz? Actually, I'll tell you this. The new Gaz is actually one of the few characters that's actually better in the reboot than the original. I like new Gaz better than old Gaz. So that's what I'll say. I think that the new Gaz is better than the old Gaz. Usually reboot characters are never as good as the originals, but I think that the new version of Gaz is better than the old version. You think Ned Luke will stream again? Yeah, he'll be back to streaming. He'll probably do it, but not maybe not anytime soon, but he'll be back to it.
Why is everything moving?
What happened to Sweet's house when he's in jail? I don't know. That's a good question. Oh yeah, that guy broke in that house and stole his blender. Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting such terrible cards. I'm getting screwed over here. I'm done. Andy or Danny from the Walking Dead game? Are you talking about the two cannibal brothers? Is that what you're talking about? I stole the pot? What? They folded? Do you prefer original Captain Price or the reboot Captain Price? I think original. The new version of Captain Price is pretty cool, but in Modern Warfare 3 he kind of sucked. I've actually never eaten at Olive Garden. Is it good? Kendall and Caesar should have locked CJ's house before exile. Well, I don't think that really would have done much. I guess he is General's alert. I was thinking about doing a playthrough of Battlefield 1 to mark the anniversary of World War 1, but I just didn't have enough time. So I just didn't I didn't have enough time to do that playthrough, but I want to do a playthrough of it again. What is your favorite campaign in Battlefield 1, guys? My favorite story, I would say, was probably the pilot one. The American pilot, I think that was my favorite one. Bully is gonna be coming very soon, in a few days. You like the tank campaign the most? Olive Garden is cheap but nice.
Poor bastard Sheriff Freeman, ain't you?
There we go. Oh, it's okay, Goat. Thank you for the super chat. Got work, so might not pop in tomorrow. Sorry, dude. Oh, it's okay, Blinded Eagle. Thank you for the super chat, man. I guess we'll probably be wrapping up the stream here. I'll still answer a few questions before I go. I'm not sure, but you don't have to kill any civilians, Mr. Fubsy. Thank you for this. Thank you for the comment, but yeah, you don't have to kill any civilians in No Russian. Silent Hill 2 remake. I might play it. Do I have to? Let me ask you guys. When is Silent Hill 2 remake coming out? And do I need to play Silent Hill 1 to play the Silent Hill 2 remake? Because I've never played those games, so maybe I'll just play the Silent Hill 2 remake when it comes out. But do I need to play Silent Hill 1 to understand Silent Hill 2? Anybody know? The new Macaron was a bit too goofy. I don't have to play Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 2 is its own story. Okay. I think it should be up to the victims' families, Cyanide. What's your opinion on Mike from Breaking Bad? I think Mike is probably one of the smartest characters on that show. No problem, Phoenix. Thank you again for being a member. Oh yeah, I agree with you, Rasho, if I'm reading your name correctly. Rockstar abandoning this game is definitely one of the worst things they've done. I would definitely agree with you on that, yes. Do you think 47 and Kane and Lynch will be good friends? No. If maybe anything acquaintances. Honestly, I'll tell you something. Do you know the main villain in Kane and Lynch 2, Shang-Chi? What I'll tell you about him is out of every single crime game that I have ever played, all the gangster games that I've ever played, I think that Shang-Chi is probably the scariest antagonist in any crime game that I've ever played, and I do mean that, the main antagonist in Kane and Lynch 2. I think he is the scariest antagonist in any crime game I've ever played. The reason I think Shang-Chi is the scariest antagonist is because the scariest thing about Shang-Chi is he's a very realistic antagonist. People like Shang-Chi exist. People like that. That's what's so scary about him. Is he was a very realistic character. There's this kid in my class who's basically harassing me, and I already said something almost 2 weeks ago, and I wanna... Well, I would talk to a counselor about that, Blinded Eagle. Don't get into a fight, I would talk to a counselor about it. I would talk to a counselor, tell a counselor or teacher that this kid is bothering you, harassing you. Sweatshops in China, yeah, but that's the thing is, Shang-Chi is a government official. He's a top Chinese Communist government official. He's part of the Politburo in China, that's like a big body of the Communist Party in China. He controls sweatshops in China that use slave labor. he has the triads working for him. He has connections to the police, corrupt government police, and he has special forces hit squads that he can send. So there's people like Shanxi that exist out there. Well, I wouldn't do anything more than that, Blinded Eagle, personally. No, Abraham Reyes is not my favorite character. Okay, I guess you don't wave back. Oh yeah, I've tried to go back to Los Angeles after Exile. You just get attacked by every gang if you try to go back there. Are you talking about the fear in the Telltale's The Walking Dead? I'm not sure, K-Money. The real-life video. That would be next week, but this weekend will be the video of me pissing off the scammers. That will be out this weekend. I know, Mr. Professional, I know you're joking about it. Thoughts on charity fraud? It's just extremely scummy. That completionist guy, right? Has he made a video responding to it? The guy who did the charity fraud, completionist, right? Has he done a video responding to it at all? Let me look up if he's done a video. I'm really curious if he's even done a video responding to it. No, it's been 13 days, and he has not responded to anything. 13 days. Oh. It's I don't know how somebody can do something like that. I will tell you guys something, though. You guys see a lot of charities on my channel. Whenever I do charities on my videos, my charities are always through YouTube Giving, and they are the charities that are linked on the side of my videos, and that you will see. You'll see the fundraiser thing, so when you see fundraiser. My advice to you would be, if you want to donate to charities on a YouTube channel, never donate to a YouTuber who does not do the YouTube Giving thing. Because when you do YouTube Giving, the charity is 100% safe. Because it goes directly to the charity. When you click on something for YouTube Giving, it always goes directly to the charity. The YouTuber does not get any of that money. It does not go to the YouTuber. The YouTuber can have the charity linked on their channel for the fundraiser, but it never goes to the YouTuber directly. So that's my personal recommendation. If you're going to donate on YouTube to like a charity, do it on when it's a fundraiser, when it's linked for YouTube Giving. Don't do it when it's like some YouTubers like giving you a link and telling you go to this website and donate here. Don't do that, because that's what you can have stuff like that happen. But YouTube Giving, YouTube does a lot of really stupid things. It does, but YouTube Giving is actually one of the best things they've done. Because YouTube Giving works pretty well, and it works directly with the charities, and YouTube does not take any fees for that, and it goes directly to the charity. I'm enjoying your classic playthrough Sleeping Dogs, Liberty City Stories. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Frankie. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And also, guys, know that, I will be doing a charity stream on Christmas Eve. I do a charity stream every Christmas Eve. I don't know what charity I'll decide on yet. I'll find a good charity. I'll think about something. I was thinking about doing a charity for like kids in like African countries. I was thinking about doing that again. But I'll think I'll find like a good charity. But just know that the fundraisers that appear on my channel, like when you see the charities appear on them, those are charities that I have researched carefully. So like I'm very picky with the charities that I choose, and I always research the charities and make sure that they're good charities before I do the fundraisers on my channel. Yeah, right now I'm doing the breast cancer research. Like you've seen that on like a lot of my videos. I have like the breast cancer. That one's a good charity. It is a good one. You want forgiveness, get religion. That's from Spider-Man 3. I remember that line. Do I know any self-defense? You mean like to fight? No. What game will you play for the Christmas Eve charity stream? Probably GTA Online. That's what I usually do on every Christmas Eve charity stream. You're trash, Brock, yeah. And Spider-Man 3, that was, you know, Bully Maguire. That was so cringe. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. I think that was the, the most cringe line in the entire series. Hey, Pro, how are you? Been watching your scam videos. I have a boss who has connections to people in Africa can get, what? Oh, come on, dude. Seriously? Why did he do that? What did I do to you? Hang on one second here. How are you, Pro? Been watching your scam videos. I have a boss who has connections to people in Africa and get, and can get these people in the cell. Thank you, Pat. Well, I don't know what kind of connections your boss has, if it's, like, to stop the scammers in Nigeria, but, if you have any more information on that, you could possibly send that to my business email. On my About page, I have a business email on there, just send that to me there. Because I would love for those scammers to get arrested. But honestly, I don't think that the police in, like, Nigeria are going to do anything about it. Have I seen Drake and Josh? Of course. I watched Drake and Josh back in the day. When I was a kid, I watched it, yeah. You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. And thank you, Untouchable, for that super chat. Thanks, man. It's on my About page. So when you go on my YouTube channel, it's on my About page. It's my business email. Just have him, you know, email me whatever, you know, his concerns are with the scammers. If he, like, you know, if he has, like, connections to the police or something like that. But I honestly, I don't think anything's gonna come out of it untouchable, because the police in Nigeria oftentimes don't. The Cybercrimes division isn't gonna do anything about it, but I do appreciate that, you want to help. Oh, I tried Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. I wasn't expecting it to be good, but surprisingly I quite enjoyed it. It's kind of fun, but I do miss DMZ, bro. I wish DMZ was in the new map. It's on the About page, Blinded Eagle. If you go on the About page, there's like an email there. Which one was the one who killed me? Who killed me again? What was the guy's name who killed me? Like, literally, like, let me feed my horse here. My horse is so weak. But thank you, Untouchable Raider. But, Untouchable Raider, does your boss have, like, connections to the police or something like that in Nigeria? Honestly, I don't think I can watch Drake and Josh anymore, because when I watched Drake and Josh, back in the day, there wasn't all these controversies, and Drake is a pretty big scumbag. Like, you know, he did he did some pretty messed up things. And some horrible things, and I can't watch Drake and Josh anymore because of that. Yeah, none of these guys are the people who killed me here earlier. He has connections to people who have connections to the Scam and Cybercrime Division, a unit in his hometown in Kenya, Africa. I'll email you more, just been busy with life and personal matter. That's fine, take your time, man. But if it's in Kenya, I don't think it's gonna do much, because these guys are in Nigeria, the scammers. But I do appreciate the help. Oh, Nickelodeon definitely cut ties with him, 100%. Should I get Call of Duty when it's on a big sale? It depends on which one. The new Modern Warfare game, what I would say, usually I get I usually get a Call of Duty game for the story. But for this Modern Warfare game, here's what I'll tell you about it. Is don't get this one for the story. It's terrible. If you're gonna get it for anything, get it for the zombies. Or maybe the multiplayer, but not the story. They got a recent arrest in 2 men who were a sextortion scam, which is the most heartless thing to do. Look more into it. I think I know what you're talking about. Those are really, really bad. You think after GTA 6 they will make Bully 2 or Red Dead Redemption 3? They'll definitely make another Rockstar type game, but it's not going to be for many years. I mean, look, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out 5 years after GTA 5. Modern Warfare 3 campaign. The online I haven't played much, but the campaign, I'll give it like a 4 or 3. I'll read your super chat. Some music I listen to is made by scumbags. I mean, that's fine. I guess you're just listening to the music. But... yeah, some musicians are massive scumbags. I do enjoy the zombies, bro, but I just can't play it with randoms. I can only play it with friends. I can't play it with randoms. I just can't. Okay, guys, so I think we'll be wrapping up the stream here. Thank you guys for, you and Pleasant Green should work together. He's a nice guy. I know the guy. Pleasant Green, he's that guy who sits on, like, the couch, right? He's like, in a couch, and he just, like, talks about, like, he messages the scammers. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah, if you can find a good Black Friday deal on a PS5 and you don't have one, go for it, dude. Yeah, I pretty much will eat any food. I'll pretty much eat any kind of food. It doesn't really matter to me. The I would say the only food that I probably would not eat, it's not probably not even food, but it doesn't count as food, but the only thing I just don't drink alcohol really. But other than that, I'll pretty much eat any food. And a rejection by Webbe Banny. Kevin Harlan is gold. Wait, what's that from, Blinded Eagle? Would you get Gabagool? You're making fun of the Sopranos right now. Joey beats up a high school football mascot with Sopranos. No, I'm not using the Slim for this one. It's just my standard PS5. NBA 2K. It's what happens when Victor Wembanyama makes a block. Oh, okay. Catch you on the next stream, bro. Thanks, man. Can I answer why I'm what not? You mean why I don't drink alcohol? Because it's just unhealthy. Look, the only thing that I might have is maybe once a month I'll have a single glass of wine. Like once a month, that's it. If anything. I don't think that really counts as drinking, but other than that, no. I don't touch any alcohol, none whatsoever. Wine is the only alcohol I can drink. I honestly find everything else disgusting. I'm good. How are you, man? Mugmosa. Oh god, no, don't start that, please. Not the Saints Row cringe. I'm terrible at singing. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, do drop a like, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.